Hi, hello. I want to welcome you very much to October Gallery. Now, the last few days might have fooled us. We might have thought it was spring. We might have thought that the greens are starting to turn, the leaves are starting to turn green. We might have thought that we're in April. We might have thought that we're already entering May. But believe it or not, we are finding ourselves in February 2019. Now, February 2019 is an incredibly important year, both for Anatsui and October Gallery. On the 14th of February 2019, October Gallery turned 40. Of course, there must be some. On the 4th of February 2000, many years ago, Anatsui turned 75. So this is another reason to celebrate. And in February, we mounted a huge work by Anatsui that was gracing the facade of the Royal Academy at Anatsui in Cape Town. And this February, starting in March, Anatsui is preparing a huge retrospective, the largest one ever of his work, for the Haus der Kunst in Munich. This will open on the 7th of March. So I want to tell you a little story about mounting the work inside Smocker. Several years ago, Thomas Hedderwick converted a grain silo into a contemporary art gallery of African art in Cape Town. And I went to visit this particular museum 1 year ago in order to see whether we might be able to hang the huge work that Anatsui had produced for the Royal Academy there. It's 25 meters wide and 15.5 meters high. So I was walking around the museum and I could not find the wall. Can you imagine? A wall like this is very hard to find. But suddenly, as I turned around from the entrance, I saw a huge wall behind me. And I thought, what a great idea. We could hang the work there. Well, I soon regretted the idea because we had to actualize it. Two weeks ago, my two colleagues, Brian Pistolesi, very bravely, and Dee Hochny, went to Cape Town to help the team there to mount that huge work. They mounted panel after panel, 8 panels, and the people on the panels were so tiny, they looked like ants when they were mounting it. And the whole work was 50 meters high. So you saw the contour when you looked up, but you could not even see the very top of the work. It was an incredible feat that my colleagues achieved, and I joined them to try and create folds as we have here. Of course, it's very difficult in such a situation, but we managed and we achieved it. So that also happened in February. And now, whilst we're talking, Anatsui is putting together the cladding of the facade of the Haus der Kunst. Now that facade is over 100 meters long, and that's going to be completely clad. For this reason, I'm sorry to say he cannot be here with us. One of his enormous mega projects taking place in Germany. So I first came across Elle in '93, and I'm sure many of you have heard the story. I saw him carving into a huge log of wood, and I loved his energy. I loved the fire he used to burn the wood, and I loved the chainsaw he used to cut the wood open in order to expose the soul of the wood. So I, at that time, went out to look for him, and we found him. And after many years, he started to produce his first bottle top works, which are now part of the British Museum, and one of them will also be part of the Haus der Kunst. His big breakthrough came in New York in 2006 and at the Venice Biennale in 2007, when the international stage was suddenly open for him. We had fought so long and hard to make contemporary African artists visible, and the international stages had been closed for such a long time. But finally we managed to break open those doors, and once they were open, they stayed opened. And this allowed an artist like Anatsui to make his dreams come true. His artistic dreams, his artistic vision. He told me when he was a young man, when he was studying, he stayed over the summer in art college, locked himself in, all the other students had gone, but he wanted to create, he wanted to achieve his art. That's the only thing that interested him. And that international recognition, that support, the international support, allowed him to develop his ideas even further and create these enormous, breathtaking works that have changed the world of art. So I want to congratulate him, and I want to please ask you to enjoy yourself and immerse yourself into the art of one of the great artistic voices of our times. Thank you.